while some online bullion dealers continue to charge almost $2 over spot for 1 ounce silver rounds, SD Bullion is selling 1 ounce silver rounds at only 49 cents over spot on any quantity. Again, that's $9.99 fine silver for just 49 cents over spot for any quantity. If you haven't joined the over 40,000 precious metals investors by making the switch to SD Bullion, what are you waiting for? You could save hundreds or even thousands of dollars on your next order. SD Bullion, the lowest prices, period.
Hey everyone, this is Elijah Johnson with SilverDoctors.com with your Midweek Metals Report, and our special guest today is Chris Powell, the Treasurer and Secretary of GATA.org, the Gold Antitrust Action Committee. Chris, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thanks for calling, Elijah.
All right. Well, I'd first like to discuss the precious metal markets. Now, recently, in the last month, we've seen gold and silver rally significantly, and just this week, they've been cooling off. What is your take of the recent price action in the metals markets?
Well, the prices seem to be reflecting geopolitical uncertainty and concern about what central banks are going to do. I don't really care much about the geopolitical stuff. I think the prices of the monetary metals in the long run will be determined almost entirely by central bank intervention or the lack of it, and by central bank policies toward money creation and intervention in the markets generally. But some people like to see the geopolitical instability for purposes of running the metals prices up. I don't want to spoil their fun, though it's always puzzled me a little bit. I mean, if there's a nuclear war and the northern hemisphere is destroyed, I don't know what good gold possession is going to do anybody.
Now, we've seen gold cool off recently, and we saw gold almost touching $1,300 last week, but now is just around $1,265 here on Tuesday, and silver went above $17 last week. It went to about $17.70. Right now, it's down about $1 to $16.80. So you said a lot of this has to do with central bank manipulation. So can you give us an update on the recent role that the gold cartel and the central banks have been playing in the precious metal markets?
Well, we're not privy, of course, to their trading on a daily basis, but we do know that the Bank for International Settlements is the gold broker for the major central banks. Its annual reports and its even monthly reports show that it is active in the gold market. The bank acknowledges trading not just gold metal itself, but gold derivatives, forwards, options, things like that. The director of market operations for the Banque de France, Alexandre Gautier, gave a speech to the London Bullion Market Association a few years ago in which he acknowledged that the French central bank is trading gold for itself and for the accounts of other central banks. He said, quote, nearly on a daily basis, end quote. So we know the central banks are in the gold market every day, and I'd go so far as to say almost certainly 24/7, unless you know exactly how their trades are structured. You don't know what's going to happen to the monetary metals prices, but their general policy really is outlined by records before the Bank of England's archives and the U.S. Treasury and Federal Reserve archives show, has been to restrain the gold price to support government currency values and support the prices of government bonds and to control interest rates. So there's a long-standing Western central bank policy of intervening in the gold market to prevent gold from functioning as an independent world reserve currency. And that's really the kind of documentation that GATA tries to disseminate to the world to show that we do not have free markets anymore, that central banks are operating essentially a totalitarian scheme to control markets and expropriate the developing world in favor of the developed world. This information is not, good for people to trade on a daily basis, but in terms of the long-term policy that is being implemented here, I think it's dead on, and people need to understand it if they want to restore any kind of market system to the world, if they want to restore any freedom to the world, any respect among nations for other nations. All you have to do is ask the central banks certain specific questions about their involvement in the gold market, and they will turn away and run as fast as they can.
All right, well, we'll have to leave it there, but everyone make sure to stay tuned tomorrow for the rest of my interview with Chris Powell, and also on Thursday for my interview with Michael Pinto, and Friday for the SD Weekly Metals and Markets Wrap. This has been your SD Midweek Metals Report with Elijah Johnson and our special guest, Chris Powell.